Well, welcome to another week of Rooted and Raw. Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Y'all ready for some discussion?
Always.
All right. Well, before we do that, let's let our listeners know who we have.
All right, podcast queens. My name is Flora. This is Tam.
Hi, you got Sherita.
And it is D, and we are so grateful to be with you. I'm hoping that next week you'll finally be able to meet Jaemi.
Oh,
I'm
Yes.
so excited for y'all to meet
so
her.
excited. So since Jaemi will be on, because it will only be 4 of us at a time, we don't know who won't be here, but we'll probably have them in the background shouting out cues to us and things like that. But I'm excited because you'll finally get to meet Jaemi next week, God willing. So let's do icebreaker, because what's one of these without our random icebreakers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so which of the fruit of the spirit do you think is the hardest to practice, and why? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, or self-control? Let's start with Sherita and go all the way around.
All right. So for me, it's two: patience and self-control. Not saying I don't know how to be patient, but being patient takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, and that self-control to me ties into that patience, because you kind of lose control when you're not being patient. So I'm wanting to be grounded in both of those.
It's good.
That's good. I would also kind of say both. The first one is patience, because my nerves get worked, okay? And on a daily basis, there's at least one time a day that I say, God, come get your kids. But also self-control, but more in an aspect of, like, again, going back to my food, gluttony is a big thing. So, like, you got to control yourself when it comes to food. You got to control yourself when it comes to stewarding money. You got to control yourself when it comes to lust, you know what I'm saying, and temptations and falling into that and stuff like that. So, I could say both as well. Self-control kind of for, like, different but the same reasons. But patience, my nerves get worked. So, Jesus is working on me.
He's working on all of us.
Yes.
Well, for me, I really had a hard trouble picking just one, because, they kind of all intertwine with one another.
For sure.
But I would say love.
Ooh. Okay.
Love, for me, I think it's the hardest. We hear it all the time. It's kind of hard to love on ourselves. It might be simple to love others, but love on ourselves. But sometimes situations come in, and it's hard to pour in some love into that.
Yeah.
So
I can see
Yeah.
that.
That's good. Wow. I wasn't prepared for that. I'm not going to lie. I did not expect you to say that.
yeah. You mean like for me personally?
Yeah, for you personally. I just, that one blew me. It
You love
made me,
hard.
I know. It made me forget what we were even talking about for a second, because I was just like, wow, I did not expect
I
you
love
to say that.
loving other people.
Yeah.
I really love, like, helping everybody out, and I have to literally be intentional into pouring love into myself. If I don't, it's like, out of mind, out of sight.
Yeah.
But it's so easily for me to go ahead and just love other people. I'll do it with no hesitation. It don't matter. But loving me, like, I literally have to be intentional, or have someone to remind me of that. You need to do that for yourself. So after all is said and done, I have a son who's graduating this year. He had prom this weekend, but I made a promise to their dad, because of everything that's going on in my household, that I'm going to take time off just for myself.
Yeah.
Because he knows that I'm doing everything for everybody in the same,
Yeah, you
everything
are.
that's going on. So
Yeah, I think that's why it surprised me, because she does everything for everybody.
Yes.
But the answer was spot on. Before I do anything, speaking of love, shout out to Stephanie our producer
Hey.
and creative person behind the scenes. We don't never want to do this without giving her a shout
Ever.
out, because every bit of what we get to do is because God put it in her heart to allow us to be able to do it, and then to provide the equipment and things like that. So
The creativity,
we
everything.
LOVE you, girl.
Yes.
You can't see her behind the scene, but she's putting up the heart emoji thing and
Te amo
blushing
más.
a little bit. So for me, it's definitely patience. I don't struggle with self-control, which is crazy because the way y'all said it makes so much sense. So it's hard for me to understand why I don't. I'm self-control is probably one of my higher ones, actually. Patience, though, is a hard one for me, but I've learned over the years, God has been working. So my my patience is a struggle mostly in specific areas. I'm patient with a lot of things, but there are specific things that I struggle with, like my kids. Shout out to Aiden, Anthony, and Jamie. I love y'all. But sometimes patience goes 12 to the wind when I've had to repeat myself, and everybody knows
Agreed.
I can't stand having to repeat myself.
Reason number 5,899.
Yes, ma'am, for sure. So things like that. I also have a very low tolerance for excuses. I don't have good patience when you have it. That whole, oh, I had a hard knock life. This is why I'm a terrible person. I'm like, bruh, miss me with that. Like, tell me, find somebody who hasn't had some sort of hard knock life, and if they haven't, like myself included, like I had a hard knock life, and yet here I am. So miss me with that. So my patience is probably stuff, the certain things, but yeah, that's. I don't think it's in everything, because I have a really, really high patience for people in need. So I think it just depends. Yeah.
I know.
All right. Well, we're going to pull our topic. Flora is up, so she's going to pull our topic for the day. Very excited. She did way better than I did with last week's podcast, because I just was like, what, right from the top. I didn't even think about it.
It was good.
It was good. It was good.
Necessary.
Good conversation.
No, for sure.
All right, let's see what we got here. How do I stop comparing myself
Ooh.
to other Christian women?
Catch us next time.
Hey, like, no joke, y'all. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. This might need to be a part 1 and part 2. Because comparison is real.
It's a killer.
It's the killer. All right, so I like to start with you, Flora, because you talk often about, you actually just talked about how you don't love yourself as well as you should. And so when I think about that, comparing is a big part of that, not loving ourselves. Do you struggle with comparing yourself to other Christian women? If so, like how? If not, like take us there.
I don't take it really much to heart, because I do have an understanding that everybody has different ways of learning. For me, like, yes, I find, especially like meeting you ladies, and how close you guys were, made me realize, okay, maybe I'm not as close as I thought I was or should be. Definitely opened up the doors to improving or growing.
Yeah.
So it definitely is like, okay, this person is here with God. They have this understanding. It's like, wow, why am I not? What do I have to do in order to go ahead and have that growth or have that stronger relationship? So yes, did I compare it? Yes. However, I didn't take it negatively. I took it positively of helping myself here grow. But is it shown? Absolutely. But everybody walks in different, in a different way.
It's good.
So I don't take that. I love people's individuality of where they are, but it just made me look into like how I can grow myself into having that strong relationship. And it has been.
Yeah.
I am definitely in a better place than I was 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I've known some of you that long. So comparing, you know, from then to now, that's the one thing that I do a lot. I do compare myself to myself. I do that a lot.
I break that one down for me a little bit.
Because compare myself to like where I was before to where I am now.
Got it. Tracking. We should
I'm
probably all
always
be doing that.
I'm always trying to be better than myself, not anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I take it with the positivity. Like, okay, where are you at? Okay, what do I have to do in order to get that? Well, I need to reflect and look into myself and what changes I can do to improve myself.
Yeah. Sherita looked like she's going to jump up out this chair.
Listen,
Come on.
because, okay, so for those of you who do not know, D is one of my dearest, closest friends.
For sure.
And we have a lot in common, from our pens to our journal. We do not play about our ink pens. That is
Listen.
something that we love.
Listen, don't find out.
Listen,
Don't
all
find
kind
out.
of colors, sizes, shapes, ink pens. I love to write. My journaling is deep. So I found myself comparing myself to D.
Oh, snap.
And
That's
yeah,
crazy.
listen, it's real. So, and as
Rooted in
Flora
law.
just said, it wasn't in a negative way, but I would compare myself to how many Bibles she had, how many journals she had. Should I be doing my devotionals at this time? Should I be doing my devotionals at that time? Like, how often, like, what is, and I found myself putting so much on myself, you know, because my walk is not her walk.
That's right.
We're not going to do it the same. So I had to take the pressure off of myself and stop comparing my walk and my devotional life to how she does things. I love how she does it. That's why I wanted to, you know, add some of the things that she does to my everyday journaling life and devotional life. But I had to like take the load off and, you know, take it back, step back a little bit and just be like, listen, you're gonna get this. Do your devotionals when you can do them. Read your Bible when you read it.
Yep.
It does not have to be on the same time frame. Give yourself time. It doesn't have to look a certain way. I guess that's what I'm trying to really say. It don't have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did for a long time. And I just like the fact that from that, I have a devotional life.
That's right.
I have, you know, a journaling life where I write about things and I journal my devotionals. So yes, that
good.
comparison is, you can put a lot on yourself and you don't have to.
And you're not happy about it when you're putting that pressure.
Yeah. All right, baby D. Come on, baby.
Come on.
This is something I'm actually struggling with a lot right now. It is graduation season, and I am graduating this year. Praise God. This is my, well, as we're recording,
Come
this
on,
is my
Niecy.
last week of school for my bachelor's degree. And it's been very hard for me because at 26, I feel like I should have gotten this already.
That's crazy.
And so seeing, like, especially on Instagram and everything, seeing all of the people that I went to high school with, like, there's some girls right now that are getting their doctorate, you know what I'm saying? And that for me is very hard. Or like, I see the same people that like I walked across stage with, now you're getting your master's and here I am finally getting my bachelor's. I'm not in any way trying, and this is where I am having like a strong internal battle, because in no way am I discrediting my bachelor's degree, but at the same time I am. And so that's where I'm having a hard time, because I'm very proud of this bachelor's degree. It's taken me, you know, plenty of detours. Like, you know, 3 years ago, I was going to get my bachelor's degree in forensic science with a minor in chemistry and criminal justice. And God called me away from that. And so there is part of that, like I had 1 year left. So I wanted to get my bachelor's in that and then pursue this. But at the same time, like I wanted to follow him. So I put all of what I wanted in the back burner and I jumped to follow him. But now, like, there's that part of me where I know the enemy is in my ear telling me, you know, you could have already had. Like, you know, you're finally getting your bachelor's degree. It took you long enough. But at the same time, I'm extremely proud because I'm finally getting this degree. So I think at the same time, it means more to me than probably my forensic science would have. I mean, that's a very hard, that is a very hard degree to get. But at the same time, like, this one holds more weight because of the fact that I followed God. I know that he's going to use it to magnify and, like, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at this season. And not only that, but I'm in my, like, I'm moving into my later 20s. And so I have that really bad comparison of, you know, well, this girl I know, she's already married, she's got kids, and her family's gorgeous, you know what I'm saying?
Boy.
You know what I'm saying? And like, oh, like, you know, this girl already has a house by herself, you know what I'm saying? She's able to do these things. But at the same time, that's where I have God reminding me that obviously I don't know the backstory of any of the things that they've got going on.
Right.
So I'm
That's
not,
good.
you know, I don't want whatever it like the life that they have, because I don't know what it looks like in the back end.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like you guys were saying, my walk isn't their walk. And a lot of these people, you know what I'm saying, I don't believe are Christian women. So that is another context, like, of this part of the question. But God is also reminding me that, you know, the season that he has me in and the things that he has for me, it kind of goes back to what you told me earlier today in Bible study, D, is that what if, you know, the things that God has for me is more. So I do need to learn that patience. I do need to learn that his timing is perfect, and it's taking longer because it's bigger.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at in my late-ish, middle to late-ish 20s, trying not to compare to what everybody else has going on, but at the same time, I really desperately want these things. Like, since I was in high school, I wanted to be married, and now I'm like trying to catch myself and not rushing Isaiah to propose to me. And I'm very intentional of telling him, like, I only want you to ask me if God tells you it's time.
I like
good.
that.
If God has not said so, please don't ask me,
That's
because so there's my little youngest, you know, baby perspective.
I do have something to say, but I want to know what you have to say. about
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, I used to be just like Tamara in the comparison. Like, I compare myself to everything, everybody, in every situation. It was bad. I feel like social media played a bit of a role in that, because you can see what everybody's doing. I always say social media is people's alter ego. We get to be whoever we want the world to believe we are on social media. And so I can tell you that I can make it look like I'm balling out when really I'm in bankruptcy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. And so I used to compare myself to that. And then I got off of social media because I was just like, this is too much. So I'm not too big on comparing myself, except for one area. There is one area that God is working hard on me when it comes to comparison, especially to Christian women. You already know where I'm going.
I already know.
Especially to Christian women. And that is me as a mother.
Yep.
OMG. Y'all, ooh, this is one of those things that I fight with on a regular basis. I'm talking about, why are you laughing so hard? What is happening? I'm in a real moment.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I struggle because I didn't have a good idea growing up of what a parent, a mother should look like. I just didn't. And so I raised my children in the beginning based off of what I knew, which was little. It was something, but it was little. And then I really started walking out this life with Christian. As a Christian, I got to Fayetteville, North Carolina. I got into Manna. I started working at Manna, and then I'm surrounded by these epic mothers. I'm talking about epic. And then I'm looking and I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to bake 200 muffins for this bake sale from scratch? I don't scratch nothing.
But my back.
And that's a struggle. Okay, how am I supposed to do that? I don't understand. It was so difficult. And so I've come down off of it a little bit. You know, now I just accept that Walmart's and Publix muffins suffice.
That's fine.
Shout out to Publix. It suffice. It's fine. It's not a big deal. However, there are still areas, because anytime my children go through something, I automatically go to blaming myself. I believe we talked about this in the podcast before.
Yeah.
I automatically blame myself. Well, it's probably because I didn't do this like this, mom, or I didn't do this like this, mom, or whatever the case may be. So that is an area God has been working on me to where I don't compare myself to people very often, because I know I'm very much in a, like, I look at you and I say, that's great. I love that for you. But I don't know what you went through to get that. Also, I'm on my own journey and I'm loving this journey. I'm absolutely in love with what God is doing with my life. Hear me clearly. But me as a mother is where I struggle the most. And I will tell you, it's because I have a fear. I'll say the word fear, even though I don't like using it. I have a fear that my kids, if I don't do right by them, they're going to have to do what I did. I spent most of my adulthood recovering from my childhood. And I don't want my children to have to spend most of their adulthood having to recover from their childhood because of what I did, just like I did. Yeah. So I go back and forth between, oh, I don't do enough. Wait. No, I'm doing too much because you done got a little beside yourself. Like, it's always, and so it's one of those things where I look around at people and I'm like, well, how do I be more of a mom like that? Girl, you can't.
No.
You can't, because that's not, God told me, he said, and I repeat this to myself often, mainly because I'm still dealing with it, but God told me, he said, every single child has the parent that they need.
Yes.
Every single child. He said that includes you.
Exactly.
You have the parent that you needed to be the person that you are today, so that you could be the parent that Aiden, Anthony, and Jaemi needed, so that they could be the people that God called them to. Like, every single child has the parent that they need to become who I've created them to be. So you trying to be like Susan, Sarah, and Sally ain't gonna work.
No.
Because the kids that you have needs DeAndra. Period. So that is where my comparison goes.
Please let me piggyback off of her real quick, because listen.
I don't know why Tamara chuckling so hard.
So I need to say this, and I'm gonna say, I am not saying what I am about to say to make anybody mad. This is my opinion.
It's gotta be good.
I am not a gentle parenter.
Oh, come on. You better preach.
I am not her. I battle with a friend that I have right now because she is a new mom. I'm a mom of 5. She's a gentle parenter. And listen, I am not one for my child putting their hands on me.
Jesus.
Nope.
I am not that parent that is going to let my child say no when I ask them to do something. Shout out to those who have the patience for that. I'm just not her. But I parent my children the way I know how. Now, I'm not saying that I don't talk to my kids. I'm not saying that I don't pray with my kids. But you're probably going to get the yelling before the prayer. But it's going to come. It is going to come.
Keeping it
But
raw.
I am. I'm keeping it very raw.
raw.
I mean, I had to take it to one of my kids last night because I am just a mom who's gonna, nip it in the bud, and I'm gonna explain to you. I do feel I communicate after the fact, but I communicate with my child as to why they got in trouble, just so they can understand this is not for nothing. It's for a reason. You got in trouble for a reason. Your actions have consequences. So, I mean, more power to the people who have the patience for gentle parenting. I'm not there. We're going to keep that real.
So what I was going to say in regards to what you mentioned earlier, because this was a real struggle for me. I graduated, from high school, good grades. Everybody expected a lot of things from me. And instead, I decided to marry at 18 and go off with him to the military. And one of my things, my dad actually didn't talk to me for over a year because I didn't get my degree. And after being married 2 years, I had my first son. And it was really hard for me because, I had him at 21, but in between that time, I could have had a career already. And I had a friend who was a junior when I was a senior. And it got to a point where all I had was my associates and he was already working on his doctorate. And he was someone that looked up to me and I felt like I failed him because I didn't go through the course that was expected of me. And then it got to a point where later on in life, he's doing his career. I mean, he's doing phenomenal and leading other people and stuff. And he told me one time, I wish I was in your shoes where I had already found my partner and had a family. And here I have my career. And I'm here thinking man, I wish I had your career and maybe had my family in life. One of the things that we need to understand, doesn't matter if you're male or female, is that we all have our own journey. The comparison is all a mental struggle. Because we have these expectations. We have to understand, and that's where I kind of turn my mindset into, instead of it being something negative, to turn it into something positive. Because we tell kids or we tell individuals, especially playing sports, hey, you got to do better than what you're doing. They're doing that, but you got to do what's best for you. You got to learn yourself. But never compare yourself and struggle because, like you mentioned earlier, you never know what it is that they're going on their end. And that's when I started okay, I have to do better than what I did. Because that's the only way that I can go ahead and grow. And it was a struggle to learn that and be you know what, I'm okay. Lord has his plan for me. It is okay for me to be where I am at because I am able to help other people. And in the same way, we just kind of carry off of one another. Hey, how is this going? So now when he started to go ahead and have his family, he came to me and it's hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? And then when I started my career, reaching out to him, it's hey, going through this, how did you deal with it? So it was a good person to kind of go with and get their advice because they have already been through. And that's where our journey come in. So don't be too hard on yourself. You are doing phenomenal.
Yes.
Also,
there's no
timeline. She's getting her bachelor's.
Yes.
At 26. I got mine at 40. So I think you're
doing
good. You're doing real good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're not gonna talk about my degrees.
There's no
It's all right.
And that's the thing. There is no timeline.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So there's no time. Some people have kids early in life. Some people have it later in life.
Yeah.
For those, there is no set rule on when you should be achieving these goals. And
Right.
That's good.
we're putting that on ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
Which is where I know I'm struggling with the most because of the fact that I am this isn't telling y'all anything you don't know, but for y'all watching, I am extremely hard on myself because of the expectations that I have placed on myself, because of whether if it be, you know, my past, again, I don't want to like claim it, but my past like validation issues and acceptance issues and stuff like that, that mindset of like, maybe if I get my degree, then X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Or again, the plans that I had for myself versus where God called me to. And that's where it's that internal battle of, I know this is the enemy trying to root these lies into me, versus what I know, like God is telling me, like, no, this is where I have you. And so a couple months ago, or at least last month, God told me, you know, that I am his David. That goes back to why I was saying, I think it was last week, why I would want to sit and have a meal with David, because of the fact that God told me very plainly, you are my David. So in the same way that David had to wait to walk into his inheritance, is the same way that it will take time for you to walk into what I'm calling you, because David didn't just rule, you know, the little village. David ruled a kingdom. So in the same way that even now King David's name has impact, is the same way that later on down the line your name will still have impact. You will impact nations. That is kind of where I have rooted myself in, you know. So when the enemy tries to tell me things, I'm like, well, that's not what God said. God promised that I will be his David. That's what I'm standing firm on. So that's why I'm saying it's like, it's a huge internal battle, because my flesh and the enemy is very, you know, good. He's a hater. I like to say the devil ain't got no neck, so he's steady coming for mine.
I'm done.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm done.
So you know what I'm saying? So he's consistent about like, I'll be good for a little while, and then he'll come with it's graduation time. Look at her getting her master's. You know what I'm saying? Like, here you are still on your bachelor's, and you still have that degree that you didn't finish because, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, but I know that God called me away from that forensic science degree to come pursue this. He has confirmed it in many different ways. Like, I know I have faith that this is where I'm supposed to be. So I don't like, I kind of shake it off, but
you have to though.
Yeah.
Because it'll keep coming.
Yeah.
And I want you to remember this moment, because one day you're going to wake up and the enemy is going to be like, oh crap, she's up.
No, for real.
She is
Listen.
up.
No, for
And
real.
just like, because like we were saying,
Yeah.
you're still very young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what you're going to be accomplishing next, girl.
Yeah. So that's, like I said, where that struggle is, because I know the truth, but it's me having to, like, you know, not even peek through the blinds, but like, how did these get back closed? Let me rip these back open in order to see what the truth is. And the fact that I don't want to be none of y'all anyways, to be so for real. Some of y'all got 3 kids and like power to you, but
So
I'm not
the
ready- I'm not ready for
question
that.
asked specifically, do you still have the question?
Yes.
So it asked specifically, how do we
Stop comparing
stop? Okay.
myself to
other Christian women.
All right.
other Christians.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we all know that we clearly have our own different set of comparison, but we're growing through it. God has helped us in some different ways. Let's go around and say what advice you would give specifically about how, if you were talking to your sons, if you were talking to your future children, your kids, what advice would you be giving them directly to help them to stop comparison or stop comparing themselves to others?
So I actually tell this to my boys.
Okay.
So I tell my boys you have to be better than yourself. That's how you grow. So if you learn from your mistakes, so from that, whatever good it is, you keep doing it. Whatever you failed at, find another way to do it. But don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself.
I love that.
That's good. Can we skip me? Can
Yeah.
we come back?
Yeah.
We can come
For
back
sure.
around.
For sure, big dog.
So the thing that keeps coming to my mind is the grass is not always greener.
You better preach.
Cut your own grass.
Ooh,
The grass
You know-
is green where you water it.
That come on.
grass is green.
Come
where you
on.
water
So, like, when it comes to this, what it looked like over there, it ain't what it's supposed to look like over here. You are your own person. You're not someone else. You weren't created to be someone else. You were created to be you. So we have to learn how to stop wanting what everybody else has, wanting it to look like how it looked like for everybody else. You got your own journey, your own walk, and you got to learn how to live in that. Live in that moment, your own moment, not somebody
good.
else's.
Look, it could
Yeah.
be fake turf on the other side.
Come
for
on.
all you know.
No, but for real.
Listen, that fake grass.
No, but for real,
Yeah.
they're using that putt grass. I would say how I have handled it and continue to handle it, I think goes back to something that we've probably said every single week we've done this podcast so far, and it goes to where does your identity come from? Where are you rooted at? If your identity is in Christ, then you're rooted in who he calls you to be, so it doesn't matter what other people are doing, right? It doesn't matter how great of a mom she looks, because the mom she is would be no good to the kids God gave you, right? The woman that you are has nothing to do with the woman that she has to do. If anything, it goes back to what Flora said, and are you better today than you were yesterday? Because that's who you. I have a shirt I made for myself because I like to make shirts. Shout out to Holy Hoodies. It's not a real thing, but that's what I call it. So don't Google it and look it up, because you're not gonna.
We're gonna be
find
coming
it.
out with a clothing line.
Right. We're trademarking it.
I made a shirt that says "Me versus Me," and the reason I made that shirt is because at the end of the day, it goes back to what Flora said. I am the only one that I should be comparing myself to. Am I better today than I was yesterday? Am I better this year than I was last year? If not, then we have a problem. I can't stand when people say, "Girl, you have changed." I'll be like, "You haven't?" Because I thought that was the purpose.
Right.
Why are we staying the same?
Right.
Why are we
Yep.
exactly who we were when we was in high school? I'm sorry, but the goal is to level up, right? So I think it's, where is my identity rooted? If it's rooted in him, then who did he say I am? Because the only thing that matters from that is who he's created me to be. So if I just absolutely have to compare myself to something, if I just have to, then it should be, am I better today than I was yesterday? Did I leave yesterday better than I found it? That's where I'm at. Are you
I think I'm ready.
okay? Wonderful.
So I will say I have also been camping in that specific, and I think I said this a couple podcasts ago as well, is that I don't want to be the same Tamara that I was yesterday. So I do love that, and would also share that. And kind of what Sherita said too, about the fact that, you know, the grass is green where you water it, and God's timing, God's design for who you are is for you specifically.
Yeah.
So it goes back also to what I was saying also a couple podcasts ago about, you know, I have a specific number of hairs on my head that are different from what Sherita has. That's different from what Dee has. That's different from Flora, Steph, Jaemi. And to be myself. Again, I am rooted in what God has called me to. I am rooted in what God has for me. So even when the enemy comes to tell me lies, like I just listen for my shepherd, because I know his voice versus a stranger's voice. And so what I would tell my younger self, because I don't have kids, is just, you know, be you, focus on you. And something that Chris said in staff mentoring on Thursday, Bryson asked him, like, what season does God have you in right now? And he was talking about being rid of the identities that he placed on himself.
That's good.
He said that's something that God told him, was that I never called you to that. And when he was speaking, it was just like, you know, speaking to me because God has been very intentional in this season for me that I didn't call you to be that. I didn't call you to do that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say that you had to have your bachelor's at 22 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't say that you had to have your doctorate before this time. You know what I'm saying? And now, yes, I am saying I do want you to have your doctorate by 30 because at 32, I have big plans for you. And so I think sometimes where I get stuck is how many times have I gone around the mountain when the journey was only, 11 days? You know what I'm saying? So
like that, yeah.
that's kind of where I get stuck. But at the same time, God is like, in your journey around the mountain, I have given you different tools.
Yes.
I have filled up your toolbox. I have given you different things. That way, when you finally do walk into the promised land, you will be able to grow.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You will be able to help people. You will be able to do my will, do my work.
Flourish.
So exactly. So stop getting lost in the fact that it took you this long.
Yeah.
But instead look forward to the tools that you have and where I'm taking you.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's one of those things I think about. I think one of the biggest problems that we have as women, but human beings in general, in every aspect, but definitely when it comes to comparison, is we're bothered because we have unmet, unsaid expectations. Like, you didn't meet an expectation that was never put on you. No one ever said it had to be this way. The world may have come up with some ratchet idea of what it's supposed to look like.
That
But,
influence, yeah.
okay, but at the end of the day, like, who says that it has to look this one way? If it had to look one way, we'd be in trouble because everybody would be exactly the same. I don't think God called us.
boring.
It'd be
Yeah.
It'd be boring.
It'd be boring.
We would never laugh. And y'all already know how I feel about that from last week. I'm just saying. So I think it's one of those things where when we think about it, like, ultimately we tend to put expectations on us that God never said we had to have. And then when
Right.
we don't meet them, now we mad. But
Yeah.
who said that
Right.
had to be the expectation? Who
Right.
said that getting my bachelor's degree at 40 years old was the wrong thing?
right.
No
Right.
one. So
How the scripture said, the Lord will never put more on us than we can bear. But
Yeah.
we put it on ourselves. We put it on ourselves. We take on all the extra burden, all the extra baggage, and we just heavy weights.
well, and the reality is, you think about that scripture, like he's talking about when he's saying like he'll never put more on you than you can bear. It's because it won't be yours to bear. It's his.
Right. It's his, yeah.
We're supposed to be doing this with him. It is usually actually more than we can handle. But that's where he comes in. We're supposed to be going to him.
Yep.
So the moment that we get to the place where we like, he said he wouldn't put more on me, then yeah, that's because you were supposed to be going to him, big dog, and you decided to do it by yourself.
take it on
That's 'cause
yourself.
You didn't
Onto
put it in
him.
your backpack.
Yeah,
you put it in there yourself.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's do our speed round. One last thought that you have for the viewers and listeners. You want to start? She's like,
No.
sure. Yeah, I got it.
Well, my last thought into this, and to stop comparing yourself, kind of like what I did mentioned earlier, it's your growth, it's your journey. So if anything, improve yourself. Don't compare. Don't worry about anybody else but yourself in that growth.
That's good.
For me, I would say trust where he has you. Nothing is wasted.
Well, that's good.
Regardless if it's good or bad, things that you've been through, God will take it all. And yeah, he is filling your toolbox wherever you are. Those tools will be useful at some point down the line or even right now. So don't doubt where he has you. Just trust the process.
What's that sign that people put in their yard? Keep off my grass.
I'm done.
Stay out my yard. I stay out your yard.
Okay.
You know,
come on, sis.
keep off my grass.
That's a
you know,
word.
that is a whole word.
I'm here for it.
So stop comparing. That's flat out.
Yeah. I think I would say. But did you die though? No, I'm just joking.
We not. We not.
But no, really, like I think my biggest thing would be, my last thing would be leaving today better than you left, better than you found it. Like that's the only comparison that's important. Did I come into this day and do what God told me to do, to leave this day better than I found it? Sometimes that's just making the bed. Sometimes that's saying, but for real to the kids, but did they die though? Because it's been a day and you survived it. Sometimes it's just about leaving this day better than we found it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we went to a conference, and the guy who got up and started praying before he worshiped, every time he prayed, he said the same thing. He said, today is a day that I've never had before and I'll never have again.
It's good. Yeah. And
Think about it.
I would say, if I can real quick, as you were speaking about the whole get off my grass, all I could think of is in the neighborhood that I live right now, it's springtime. So everybody's working on their grass, and there's this one yard, and I see this guy out there almost every day working on his grass, but it's dirt. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
my gosh.
it looked like it's dirt, and you can tell. I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, people who, work in landscape and stuff, that he tilled the yard and put the seed and all that stuff. So right now his grass is just dirt. But he also got his sprinklers on top and he's watering, you know what I'm saying? And as I was driving out this way this morning, I could see the little tiny sprouts of like the different patches of grass, you know what I'm saying? So all I could think of as you were saying that goes back to where I was saying, it's green where you water it. Right now he got a little dirt, you know what I'm saying, dirt patches in his yard, but you give it couple weeks, a couple months, you know what I'm saying, he's gonna have that nice green artificial looking grass, but he worked hard for that, you know what I'm saying?
It's good.
That's my last caveat, bouncing off Sherita, 'cause that was
like
thank you, Holy Spirit, that was good.
Why don't you
That
do
was
it?
good.
Why don't you do it? Well, it's been good.
It's been good.
It's awesome. I love to know that all of us have struggled with a little bit of comparison. All of y'all, drop comments. Tell us where you struggle in comparison, because I realized as we were talking that not all of us struggle with comparison in every area. There's different areas. Tamara talked about school. I talked about parenting. So drop us some comments. Tell us some of where your struggles are. As far as comparing yourself to other Christian women, guys, comparing yourself to other Christian men, what does that look like? As always, subscribe wherever you enjoy this content. We're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify. Also, we're on TikTok, Instagram. I think TikTok's is
Rooted in Raw podcast.
Instagram is Rooted in Raw 25. So follow us. Like you said, we want to hear from you. We want to have some conversation. But until next time, stay rooted, stay raw.